Welcome to the tutorial. Even I barely understand. Well, not the tutorial, but the topic I barely understand. So let's do this. According to my current knowledge, I'm just trying to put together what the longest possible Java class declaration is without a body. And well, don't mind the color coding. It doesn't really mean much. It's just when something is different, then change the color. Maybe I should put some of these in these boxes, because this is more like a section which can have several or different types of words, or maybe it consists of more words, stuff like that, and the rest are just keywords, or maybe they tell you what to do there. In a simple term, such as the name, you just follow the naming rules and name your class. But this one here is a keyword. So maybe a keyword could be a circle, a name is a triangle, and a section is a box. This part is actually a box. It's a very big box. Yeah, let's do a big box. Green. I haven't used green so far, so this is a big box. There you go. And this is the... how should I even call it? Extends, implements, permits, section. You don't have to have all of them. Actually, this whole box is optional. All you have to do to create a valid class, let me show you. Is just use the class keyword and add a name. Yep. And usually people say animal in tutorials, so let's do that. What I myself do is just A or B. Of course, don't do this IRL for normal projects, because it's insane. It's an insane thing to do. Other developers will have no idea what you are trying to say, and it destroys their workflow, and they are going to hate you, and you will be fired from your job. But for tutorial purposes, if you don't want to write down animal the 700th time, then A should suffice. Of course, this is not enough. You have to add the mandatory curly braces, which I can draw, as you can see. And that's it. That's the correct class declaration. But let me delete that or erase that. And let's go through what I think is going on. I learned about the modifiers. I am still in the progress of learning this, so that's the point of the tutorial, that I am basically teaching myself and uploading it on YouTube. And I know the naming rules. It is pretty easy to understand that we have to add a class here. I have no clue about generics. I know their purpose, but and I also know that I should add these greater than and less than symbols and write stuff in there. And usually T is used for type, and they can also extend stuff. And this is a list, so you can potentially add. Let's extend, not A, B, I don't know. And I think you can also implement, such as T or F. Let's continue this list. And when you have a list, you just have to add a comma. Okay, so we had T. Okay, we have an F now. And if I remember correctly, you have to add an ampersand, and you can mention an interface, such as serializable. Is it with a Z or S? Sorry if I messed up the spelling. Okay, let's just delete that. I don't know. Okay, as you can see, I have no idea about this, but the potential length of a class declaration, even without even with an empty body, is limitless already, because you can have almost unlimited amount of generic types listed one after each other. But that's all I know, so let's just move to the next section. And I am not even going to use this in my declarations, but I will try to construct the most difficult, or the most complex, or not even the most complex, the longest possible class I can with my current knowledge. Let's do that. So we have extends, implements, permits, and the order matters. I tried to create a class starting with permits and then extends. It completely fails. So this is the order that you have to follow. I am getting too excited, I should calm down a bit. So, extends. This C means that it's a class, if it's circled, of course, and this means interface. And in the actual code, you don't write this here, okay? This just signals that something has to be here, and a class has to be in this place. C equals 1 means that only one class can be here. Interface is greater than equal to 1, then there is at least one interface, but this is a list. So you can list out unlimited amounts of interfaces that the class can implement. And permits can also be an unlimited list of classes that can inherit from this parent class. It's fantastic. You can actually restrict this stuff, but then your class has to be sealed. But more on that later. I hope, at least I can talk about that. So already, maybe you have a question that I don't want to answer. Why is this one, and why do we have unlimited options there? And the short answer is that Java follows a single inheritance structure or pattern, as opposed to C++, which has multiple inheritance stuff built into it. And for I'm not sure about the exact reasons, but I think it can lead to conflicts. So that's why Java is can only follow this kind of structure. So maybe A can inherit from B, B can inherit from C, but no class can inherit from multiple parents. Okay, but multiple children can inherit from one parent. Okay, that's it. I still explained it, but I did it fast enough so I don't start to hate my life. So I want to go deeper into the modifiers, because this part is very interesting. We have this comment here that I added, that order doesn't actually matter. You can start with abstract and then add your modifier, which is cool. But let's look at what kind of keywords we have. I have a whole section here about access modifiers, and probably this is the first thing you learn when you start learning Java. Later you hear about abstract, final, sealed, unsealed. Maybe if you are going into version standard edition 17 of Java, then that's a thing you will hear about, or well, 17 or higher higher, is it higher? Latest versions, more later versions. Sorry, I'm not a native speaker. And then we also have static here. And you might have noticed that we also have private and protected here. But actually, normal classes can't have these. So you will get a compile error if you try to create a static or a private or a protected class, because only nested classes can have these. But let's take a look at that. I already created this main class here. So let's change the access modifier to private. Check this out. Already we have an error. Illegal modifier for the class main. Only public, abstract, final are permitted. Cool. Let's try protected. It should mess me up. Protect. Yeah. Let's protect this. Fine. That's very good. Oh, check this out. What happened? There's nothing, and it's still fine. Why? Because this is the default access modifier. The package access. Right there. Right after my public. Access modifier. This is called the default, because this is what happens by default if you don't write anything there. So you shouldn't add the default keyword. That's a common mistake. It was mine. I thought that, yeah, okay, then I just call it default because this is the default access modifier, right? No, you are wrong. That's not how it works. You can use the default, and it's a keyword of Java, but it's used for somewhere else, which I can't remember. I recently learned about this, but I can't remember. Okay, but you can have nested classes that have the private and protected modifiers. Let's check that out. So let's go inside this class. Let's create another class and add protected or private to it. It can even be a static class, sure. And then let's name it, of course. That's a mandatory field, not film, but field. The animal, okay. Or I'm going to use my crazy method of calling this only A. Empty body, everything is fine, as you can see. This is legal. This is a legal thing to do. as crazy as it sounds, right? Let's move on. Okay, so here's the game plan. I really want to code a little bit and show you what's going on and demonstrate the sealed, non-sealed, final stuff that's going on here and how to control inheritance. Of course, it's assumed that you already know a little bit about inheritance, and I'm sorry. If you don't know that, look it up. Okay, this is what you can do. If you create a sealed class, then you can specify that it permits other classes. But in this case, I only permit, we have to add the yes, I only permit B. And then we have another sealed class. It can also permit other stuff. Permits C. So we can create this kind of a chain. But with any chains, or I don't know, loops, it's not a loop, but it's a chain. You have to have an end to it. Somehow you have to finish it off. So you can either finish with a final class or a non-sealed class. If it's final, then the chain is over. It has ended. If it's non-sealed, if it's non-sealed, then actually you let any class inherit from this without any restriction. So you can have a D, E, I don't know the alphabet, maybe F or G, I don't know, who cares, and that's it. So that's the end of it. From that point, okay, if you have, let's say, an E here, it should be a D, of course. Oops, I was in the drag tool. Then D is indirectly related to A through this very long chain. Okay, but maybe you want to control this chain, and maybe you don't want to have a situation like that where, I don't know, maybe at Z is still indirectly inheriting from A. Maybe you want to have a more closed system, and creating something non-sealed can kind of defeat that purpose, but it's really up for your consideration, man. It's up to you. I'm just the messenger here, as some strange red pillars would say. If you get the reference, good for you. So that's it. And this is what I want to create. To the right, you can see that this is what I am trying to achieve when we try to code. We are going to have the object and then a main inside. This is going to be a nested class, actually. And A is going to be the longest possible declaration I can create. And of course we have this dashed line. This is going to be an implementation of an interface, implements, because that's how I am going to achieve this very long declaration. After that, it's also going to be a sealed class, which will allow B and D to inherit from it. D is going to be non-sealed, and that's why it can be extended by E and more unlimited, potentially unlimited amount of classes. We are going to have a longer chain to the left. So B is going to be a sealed class, which will permit F, but F is going to be a final class. And this is where the line ends, and G is going to fail if we try to create that class in the end. Let me just put these classes in the boxes, just to enhance readability. So class is a box, C or the circle is an interface. Maybe this is understandable. So yeah, let's jump into the code, but I want to use the full frame for it. So we have a public class main, and this has to be named accordingly because the file's name is main, and the public class has to match the file's name. You can only have one public class. Actually, it's optional, so you don't even have to have a public class. But if you have a public class, there can only be one. We need a body. I also want to create an interface. And it's going to be the C, it's just an empty interface. I messed up. Interface. Good. Because if you remember, if you recall correctly, then we are going to have this C here that can be implemented by A. And now let's create a protected static field class A. And I will add the other stuff to it, but first, probably you can remember that only nested classes can have protected or private fields or private access modifiers, so I'm trying to demonstrate that here. And they can also have the static modifier, which is also there. It's also sealed. And as I mentioned, the order doesn't really matter. I can also do this, and this should be fine. We need a body, that's why it complains, but we also have to permit something because this is a sealed class. If you don't have a permit field, then it's pretty bad. But I want to create the longest possible naming or declaration for this with an empty body. So first, we have to start with extension. This extends. Well, let's extend main. You can do that. It's here. It's not sealed or anything. You can just do the proper basic inheritance. Let's implement an interface. And we already have an interface, C here, but we also have to add the permissions. And we are going to permit B and D, right? I don't want to mess up the naming. Yes, it's going to be B and D. So far, I think this is the longest I can do. And let's create these other classes outside the main class. So we are going to have a sealed class, which is the B class. And when you inherit, when you create these permitted classes, they always have to have an extend modifier, which explicitly says that they are inheriting from this parent. And that's how you can complete the chain. And of course, this is going to fail. Let's just close this off, and we still have errors because this is a static class and it's also nested. We can't just directly access it. So since this is static, we can use a static declaration, or not, it's not a declaration, static access maybe. Sorry if I'm messing up the correct naming for this. And we are almost done actually, but this is still a sealed class, and it also has to have a permits field, which is going to be F, I think. B permits F, good. And it complains because we still don't have an F. Let's create an F. Class. It's going to be our final class. And this is the F. Final class. Let's not forget about F. Extends. B. That's it. So this is the end of our left chain. And let's demonstrate that it's actually closed off. Class G extends F. And it should throw us an error. Type G cannot, the type G cannot subclass the final F. Okay, so subclass is used as a verb. Cool. So as expected, this fails miserably. Let's comment this out and let's build up the second column. So we actually need the D class. Okay. This should be a non-sealed class, which is D, and it extends main.a, because that's how you can reference. It's a static reference. Okay, I remember. So this is, you can only do a static reference to A because it's a nested class of main, and it's also static. Okay. We have to complete the body, and it's fantastic. The next step is the demonstration of this non-sealed class, that it can be extended by any other class, and we don't have to do a permit field. We can just create a class G which extends. Sorry, do we have G? We still don't have an E. Okay, let's create an E then, and it's going no generics, and extend D. There you go. And we can have multiple of these. Let me just, there you go, fantastic. E. Where is shift? F. G. We cannot have an F, sorry. Then this is going to be G. H. I already used F. I. J. I am going way overboard. This is, I think you get the point already. And that's it. That's how you create this long ass chain. And non-sealed keeps it open, and final closes it off. Lovely. That's it. Thank you.